members. Happy Thursday. Super pumped and excited for tonight's training. Hashtag live if you end up catching this live, or if you end up catching this later on the replay. Hashtag replay tonight is going to be a doozy for you because we're going to be showing you a step-by-step formula on exactly how to launch your business in a public space, more specifically on your personal feed on Facebook. And so this is going to be a doozy for you. Hopefully you've got something to write with and you're ready to take some notes here. And at the end of this training, my goal for you is going to be really to give you the step-by-step to show you how to launch, but something to where you can actually grab it and implement it immediately after the training. So hope you guys are excited for that. This is really going to be a big topic for some of you. I know we've already done a training in the past on curiosity marketing and really kind of the general idea when it comes to showing up on public spaces. Some of you guys have already started doing that, but it's kind of a different concept when we're really looking at it, because we are so used to the way that we have been trained in direct sales, which is to show up in a Facebook group, maybe show up on a business page, but really the idea with direct sales in general is to show up in closed spaces, right? Throw our parties in closed spaces, which we can still do that, right? We can still throw our parties inside of groups. There's different ways that we can do this, right? Messenger, business pages, scroll and shops. You guys have seen some of those trainings that we've done in the past and that we're continuing to train on. However, there is so much power and relevancy when you are showing up in a space where you are hanging out with the people that are already hanging out in that space. Okay, so your personal feed is where most people hang out. And if you're not, as a online marketer, online seller, if you are not expanding out and if you are not showing up in public at some capacity where you're connecting with new humans on a consistent basis, then it's going to be harder for you to grow your business. So that's why this is such a topic. But I'm going to break this down for you. I've got a formula here that I'm going to give you. I'm going to talk about the what and the why behind showing up on a personal feed, which I kind of just did a little bit. But then we're also going to be talking about how to actually launch. So for those of you that are not used to posting on your personal feed, or even if you are posting on your personal feed, but it's more so engagement posts, maybe some pictures of you here and there, I'm going to give you a formula, even if people already know what you do, right? Even if people already know that you're in business. So hopefully this will be helpful for you, that you can just take this and immediately implement later. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into this. Let's start with the what and the why behind your personal feed. Some of you already kind of know the reason as to why it's important to show up in a public space, but let's really dive into this. Okay, let's talk about some facts. Number one, average of 6% people are seeing your content inside of groups. Okay, that's like the average, okay, inside of Facebook groups. Unless you have an engaged group, you have a community built in there that's completely different. There's nothing wrong with you building a business inside of a Facebook group. Okay, I know we've done a lot of trainings to teach you how to do it outside of groups, because we're kind of feeling the temperature in the Facebook room, right? We're seeing that Facebook groups are not necessarily prioritized. They're taking away really important tools from Facebook groups, which really tells a lot of us that they're probably, but not for sure, right, going in a different direction. So that's why it's important to start expanding your branches in different areas on social media. However, showing up in a public space is so beneficial for you and your business, but we're not talking about you throwing sales graphics. We're not talking about you showing up and throwing an opportunity call on your personal feed, right? We're not talking about going out there and explicitly advertising for your business on your personal feed with your shopping link and all of that jazz. That's the definition of spam, and we're not going to be doing that on our personal feed. Instead, what I really want you to embrace is the fact that when you're showing up in public spaces and where people are already hanging out, you can kind of imagine just how much more simpler business can be when you're showing up in places where people can actually see you. When you're showing up in places where people that you haven't maybe even connected with or haven't connected with in a while can actually find you and see you. When you become searchable, when you become visible, in a place where people can see your content and they have the option to connect with you. It is such a powerful tool. So of course I'm going to encourage this, even if you're in direct sales and even if you've been trained for years and years and years to show up in a closed space. It just doesn't make sense if you really just kind of break it down a little bit. It doesn't make sense for a business to be hiding on social media, right? Like, really think about that. Does it really make sense? Versus every other business that exists out there that is showing up in a public space where where people can find you, right? Most businesses nowadays, okay, they have a TikTok account, they've got an Instagram account, they've got a LinkedIn account. They're all over the place on social media. Not saying you need to do that yet. However, it is helpful to have at least one public outlet. Okay, if you don't feel like you have the capacity to post in several places, that's fine, but pick one, just one outlet that is in a public space that is going to allow you to show up consistently. There's no sense of showing up in three public spaces like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook personal feed if you can't be consistent on all three. Okay. So, my advice is start with one place and be consistent there. And for most of us, it's going to be on Facebook. Okay. All right. So, let's talk about that. Now that we have kind of the what and the why, obviously, we want to be searchable. We want people to find our content. We want people to connect with us. We want to engage with new people. We want people to ask us about our business. We want people to ask us about our products. How do we actually go and do that? So I want you to write this down. This is the feed formula. Okay. Now, on a previous training, I know we kind of broke things down, but I really want you to kind of write these down here for me, because this is essentially everything that you want to be able to accomplish on your personal feed. Okay. These are all the things that you want to be able to accomplish on your personal feed. This is the type of content that you want to be posting. All right. Now, here's what I also want to share with you. Don't feel like you need to have this all figured out from beginning to end. This is a journey for you, just like how it was for me. You're figuring it out. Okay. This is going to be a process where you are trialing and erroring your content until you get to a point where you have completely figured out how it is that you actually want to show up. You might not like to hear that because you want somebody to give it to you, right? You want somebody to give it and spell it out for you. But the reality is, as a business, right? You are the only one who can identify who your identity is on personal, on your feed, right? On in your business. You're the only one who can identify what your expertise is. You're the only one who can identify how it is that you want to show up on personal feed, right? I am here to help facilitate you, answer your questions, and give you some sort of a guideline so you have something to start off with. Okay. Hopefully that's fair enough for y'all. So let's talk about these goals that you want to have on your personal feed. This is the type of content that you want to post about. Okay. Number one, you want to have empowerment content. What is empowerment content? This is inspirational content. This is motivational content. You can share your story with this type of content, where you were and where you are now, what the journey was in between. Feel, felt, found system. Some of you guys already know what that is, right? You guys have probably seen that on my personal feed, because I think majority of you guys are friends with me on Facebook anyway. So I'm sure you've seen me post about my journey and how I didn't know what I was doing. And it took me 5 years to get where I am now. And I'm so happy we made the decision to start a business, and how we homeschool our kids, right? This is my empowerment content because I'm motivating you, I'm inspiring you with my story. And the best way you can inspire people is by sharing your story. Okay. All right. So empowerment content. The second one is entertainment content. So it sounds, for some people, when I have trained on the entertainment portion of this, it can sound overwhelming because some of us think we just resort to, well, I'm not that interesting. I'm home all the time. I work a normal job. I have a dog. My house looks the same. I don't live in a mansion. Like, I'm really not that interesting. You are, first of all, you are interesting. I promise. Entertainment content can really be as simple as a meme that you found that you want to post about, that maybe is a relatable meme that makes people laugh. It could be a funny story that happened at work today, or maybe your dog is doing something funny, right? Sometimes I take pictures of my dogs and they are doing something funny with the kids, or like my son the other day. I had everybody kind of laughing in my stories. and in my post, because I think it was a post, but my son found my grandma wig. Don't ask why I have a grandma wig, okay? Why don't you have a grandma wig is the real question. But he found my grandma wig, and there was like a elastic band that kind of went all around his head, and so it made him look bald, and it was just hilarious. And he wouldn't take it off, and so everybody was laughing on my feed when I made that post. So I mean, entertainment really can be anything, okay? Is the idea is to entertain and attract attention from your people on your feed. So second post is entertaining. The third one is engaging. Okay, engaging. You guys know how to engage with your audience. Open-ended questions, right? Fill in the blanks. Um, Posting a poll, right? Those kinds of things where you're asking a question and you're getting more than one word responses back. This is engaging. This is allowing you to have conversations with people. It's allowing people to see your content and want to engage with it. This is really, really easy. And I definitely want to advise when you're doing engagement content on your personal feed, use the colored background feature. And if you can, add an emoji, because those are the things that capture attention and they stop the scroll.